my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to me vlogging to ignore my own sad feelings. If you follow me on Twitter, you may be aware that the baby that we were fostering was moved to a different foster home out of town for reasons outside of our control, and there's only limited chance that we'll ever see him again. So I'm going through a moment. And it's annoying me that I can't just be done with this depressive episode already. But no, we had to give it time and space. So, I'm throwing myself in to some of my favorite things. And one of those favorite things is trashy speculative indie romances with Smut, obviously. And it just so happens that Booktok loves one of these kind of books or book series in particular. And that is Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. I have seen this like maybe once or twice on BookTube, but it is like everywhere on Booktok, and I actually have friends from the D&D community of all things that have read this and love this. So that's what we're going to do today. I assume this will be a book I will read in one day because it's under 200 pages, and I am currently doing the Whatever-a-thon, which is just a great read-a-thon. I can just read whatever. It's awesome. Hello, Editing Margaret here. I just realized that I forgot to give the synopsis for the book because I've heard so many people talking about it, and it is such a standard setup for a sci-fi romance that I just wasn't even thinking. But basically, this is a sci-fi series all about a group of young women, because it's always women, that get kidnapped from Earth by evil alien dudes, and then their ship, or their part of the cargo hold, I guess, gets crash landed on this ice planet where they meet nice alien dudes, and then the romance happens. I'm way oversimplifying it, but like I said, there's been a lot of talk about it. There's a pretty standard setup for this genre. I could give you other book series that involves something like this if you're interested. Thankfully, we have moved past the women falling in love with their captors, but again, it's usually human women, male aliens. But I will give this book credit. They are definitely more alien than a lot of these kinds of books tend to be. A lot of times it's like they're basically just dudes from like that look like human dudes, but they might do like one thing differently or have like weirdly colored eyes or might like occasionally shift into dragons, you know, the usual. So this one is actually pretty different in that way. But yeah, I highly suggest you go check it out on Booktok because the memes are just great. Anyway, I might be going out to a local coffee shop. I know I sound sick. I promise it's just allergies. Apparently my allergies are like kicking my ass this year. And I am also vaccinated, and the coffee shop I'm going to is not heavily trafficked at all. So, I should be good, and I just want to be out of the house because sitting in an empty house that doesn't have all of the sounds of a baby in it is not working out for me. So, let's go. I almost forgot to add, I'm going to be doing at least one chapter of Now Write. This is a Writecraft anthology for speculative work. Obviously, there are others in the Now Write series that are for different kinds, but seeing as my current manuscript is sci-fi, and I plan on writing a lot more sci-fi coming up, this seemed like the best bet for it. However, while these chapters are very short, I do the exercises in them because, like, I'm trying to practice. It makes most sense. So even that, like, 5-page chapter could take me a decent amount of time just by sheer writing. So I'm doing one chapter at a time, maybe two today if I'm feeling really on top of it. Probably not. I don't know. So I only read about 50 pages at the Brood book, mostly because I knew right away that I was going to want to talk about it, and I didn't really want to vlog in public even if the place was nearly empty, like the employee was still there. So, this book started off as like a sci-fi horror, which I was not expecting because human gets kidnapped by alien and then falls in love with different alien that did not kidnap them is a pretty standard sci-fi romance trope. And yeah, the beginning kidnap part is usually like kind of scary, a little. This one leaned into it, trigger warnings for sexual assault, and like it went full sci-fi horror. And no one that I've heard talk about this mentioned that. Maybe it gets better in future books, but there's even a part that's like almost survival, like sci-fi survival horror. And it's like, was not expecting that in my trashy sci-fi romance. But we are at the part where the two have met, and they currently do not speak the same language. My guess is either one, the act of them eventually having sex despite not being able to communicate will somehow like enact the big mythical claiming ceremony thing, and that will allow them to communicate, or they're going to do the sci-fi trope of someone's going to get a translator injected in their ear. There is another character that has a translator in their ear, but it was kind of, again, slightly horrific in the way that it was implanted. So gotta give Ruby Dixon credit. She went harder than what I was expecting. But I am already like almost a third of the way through. I think the entire book's like 180 pages, so I probably can read it all today. I might take a little break. I don't know. But yeah, be on the lookout for this one. It goes a lot harder than you think. Oh, and as for the chapter that I read out of Now Right, it was kind of whatever. A lot of these books are more for the beginning of the writing process as opposed to the editing process, which means I probably should have been reading these books a long time ago, but that's fine. I'm gonna go hang out for a while. So a little over 50 pages read, well over halfway through the book, definitely going to finish this today. And I'm really happy that they actually haven't come up with the super easy, oh, we automatically understand each other's sci-fi reason for the differences in language. They are literally having to like point and say the word in their language. And they did get to the point where the one side character that has the translator can understand alien dude, Vectel, but they still can't speak in a way that he understands them, and there are some words that don't translate. So it's a lot of fun getting to see the world building through each side literally having to work to understand the other, and it's really intriguing. This is more of what I was expecting from this book, aside from that sci-fi horror beginning. I like this part a lot more. I will finish this book easily today, and honestly, do I want to start the next one? There's a wild amount of books in this series. I think like 22, which isn't the biggest amount of books for an indie romance series, especially when someone comes across a world or a setup that works. Indie authors tend to stick there because the indie book world demands such ungodly high rates of putting out works to stay relevant that, yeah, you're going to write a lot of quick books. So who knows? I am in the middle of a readathon. Should also be reading review books that I haven't touched in weeks. But like I mentioned before, my mental health has not been there. It seems like every time I turn around, I'm sad again. So anything that distracts me is good right now. And this has been a very good distraction. So I'm happy with that. But also, what time is it? I might need to have to start dinner soon. But I will probably not check in again unless I finish the book or something major has happened that I feel like I just must comment on it. So I have finished Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, and in the last 50 pages they did do the whole, oh, here's the sci-fi excuse to have them just know each other's languages, but without spoiling too much, in the process of discovering that technology, they also uncovered other cool plot world building things, so it's fine, I'll accept it. And then of course, like all standalone romance indie series, we then have to of course set up all the future books and their couples moving forward. So you got a lot of characters introduced at once, and they tried to give vague or at least general overview of personalities, but I don't know how well it actually stuck. But at some point I will probably continue with this series because the last kitschy sci-fi series that I was going to keep reading went off the rails in a not good way in the third book, so I'm probably going to have to stop that series. So it's nice to have this one, especially when I can read the books in a day. Now, if you don't read weird sci-fi romance. I don't know that you're going to like this one. Everything down to very much aliens. They're humanoid, got the four limbs and bipedal walking and all that, but they're very much aliens. And that includes not entirely human genitalia. So if you're into that kind of thing, you'll probably love this book. If you haven't read a lot of that, this book will probably surprise you. For me, I've read a lot of books like this, so it's whatever. But for you might need to go into it if you haven't done a lot like this before. Honestly, I've read so many indie romances, especially weird ones now, that it's I forget that they can still be weird to someone that doesn't know. But if you like this kind of stuff, it's par for the course. Pretty good. I don't know that I fully understand why there's such a craze about it in comparison to other books like it, or if it's just a case of a lot of people who didn't know a lot about the genre beforehand suddenly got into it and now they're really into it, because I could already suggest another book or two in this same vein if you're into it. So maybe I should do a video on that, on the really weird alien smut sci-fi romances, or just, I think I know of a cyborg sci-fi romance if you're into that one too. But just let me know. I'm definitely going to be doing more of this kind of thing moving forward, just because my days are so long right now, because I'm not taking care of a baby anymore and I'm not in work. So there's so many extra hours added to my day. And as a productive person that likes feeling like she does things over the course of her day, having all these extra hours and nothing to fill it kind of sucks. So at some point over the month of June, especially because I'm doing the Whatever-a-thon and I'm still 3 books shy, which actually isn't that bad, but I want to be more than my goal. I'm going to be doing a 24-hour readathon at some point. And if any of my D&D friends who are interested in the Alien Smut book are interested in knowing more about this kind of thing, just let me know, because I do have a a sci-fi book that was recommended to me that is coming in the mail that involves pansexual space centaurs, and I'm definitely doing a reading vlog for that one too. I just want more really weird sci-fi right now. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.